So the clock says 3:27 a.m. and you're looking at it and your heart's beating fast again. You're a successful entrepreneur, yet it still feels like this. So why does it still feel like shit? Well, in this video, I want to break down exactly what's really going on. And we're going to talk about three things. Basically, how your identity needs to shift from the early stage to the growth stage, what I call wrestling with imagination hell and reality heaven, and the one bit of advice that honestly for high achieving founders always comes way too fucking late. And with the knowledge of these three things, I promise that you will instantly start feeling better. And make sure you stick to the end of this video because I've had several 8-figure mentors at this point, and they all do this exact same thing to make it more manageable and bury these feelings of waking up in the middle of the night with stress under concrete, steel, dirt, so that you never have to feel these feelings again. And if we haven't met yet, my name is Colby, and I am someone who wasted 12 years of their life basically with this understanding right underneath my nose, just ignoring it, this thing that all the 8-figure mentors I've had have done. And my hope for you in watching this video is that you can cut through 12 years of wasted time and start managing this better basically immediately. And just a quick heads up, if you are hella tired of this feeling, running everything on your own, being the only A player at either, say, your agency, your solopreneur business, whatever it may be, and you are headed to the growth stage, then there's a 10-minute video down below. I highly recommend it. It talks a lot about flow and not hustle. So let's actually dive into kind of point one, is just your transition from early stage to the growth stage. What's really happening here? What's happening is an identity shift, right? There are these things that are just kind of, you are very aware of them, but it's hard for you to articulate them, right? And one of those is that you need to start transitioning from it being all you to this team mentality. And I'm not saying go out and hire a ton of people and all that complexity. In fact, the majority of my clients, they kind of jump that stage, even before they're out of the early stage and hitting the growth stage, is they'll go and hire like 5, 6, 7 people. And they realize really, really quickly their decision that they've made has been, hey, I'm no longer a business owner. I'm no longer the creator. I'm no longer the visionary. Now I'm just a people manager, right? And so I want to just caveat that really, really quickly. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying is that you can't be in a sprinter's pace like you were in the early stage in the growth stage. It's just not manageable. The reason people who are, breaking world records with a 100-meter dash are nowhere near a 10K is because they couldn't do their specialty sprinting for 10,000 meters. And so a lot of identity shifts are happening right now. You are likely going from, when early to growth, you were very much a creator. You were very much like kind of the salesperson, the main articulator of everything you've been doing thus far. And you likely still are. But while you don't strip all of that away in one day, and it's, the business is your baby, you don't want to just like let it go to someone who clearly doesn't care about it as much as you. There is this whole idea that you need to start planning for actually going from more of a creator to a curator, like from a creator to a leader. The thing with, as businesses get bigger, is you were probably making a lot of rogue decisions. You don't want to let that go. But the more and more minds you get involved, the higher the stakes, the bigger the numbers, the more regimented it has to become as well. So nothing I'm saying is the solve on the identity. I think the most important thing you understand is that the price of leveling up, going from early stage to growth stage and making more money and hitting 6 figures a month and all that sort of stuff, the price to level up is feeling like a noob and looking stupid all over again, right? And I find instead of just giving straight up tactics right away, it's actually much more valuable for the people I help to focus on identifying that it's going to be messy, right? Because we just get in our heads that we want it to feel amazing, and the price to level up is for it to feel messy all over again. Let's go into what I consider imagination hell and then reality heaven. Okay. And really, really simply, I'll just kind of give some illustrations on this. I had a conversation with a client who, in our one-on-one call, he had mentioned, well, no one's buying this time of year. And I let him go down his spiel and kind of tell me all the reasons that no one was buying. And then finally I was like, can I give you my opinion? And I said, it hasn't been my experience. I've had people buy from me year round. And in that moment, it was just, you saw him physically like change form almost because he knew it, that was just his imagination saying, well, no one buys. And when the imagination runs the show, a whole bunch of stuff trickles down from that. So if you believe no one buys, then you're going to put in less effort. If you put in less effort, no one will buy. So your imagination creates a new reality versus what is actually true is that people buy things every minute of every day, right? It's not about a time of year. And I'm recording this right before Thanksgiving. You know, everyone around this time is saying, well, the holidays is a slowdown period. Nobody's buying, whatever. Meanwhile, I'm going to go get several more clients in the end of this month, December, so that January is like absolutely momentum mode, right? It's a belief. If your imagination says, well, I need to hire to level up, or I need to do this myself so I don't look like a fool, or nobody's buying so I need to take a pause. Whatever it is something I've been saying since I was like 16 is consider the alternative. And just that one statement has helped me keep playing the reality game, which more or less means pretty much anything is possible. You can send a DM to a really like someone with a 100 million follower count and they might respond. Likelihood is different. Reality is you can send that DM and there's nothing stopping you. And another one with this too, just to kind of caveat, is like, I have a lot of people who come to me before they work with me and think that everyone's paying attention to them and nobody cares. Imagination says they see this zit on my nose, or they saw that I made a spelling error, or they care that I've pivoted my offer and all that kind of stuff. And it's just not fucking true. Nobody cares. And the people who honestly do notice those things and like make a big deal out of it probably have a very, very boring life and you're never going to serve them anyway. Okay. The reality is 99.99999% of people don't care. In this year alone, I have changed my offer 3 times. I have changed the exact type of person, which I don't see as changing so much as just dialing in and honing. But on the surface, it's like, man, dude has no idea. The reality is no, I'm getting deeper and deeper and deeper and more curious. And guess what? To be able to get to that level, I have to be willing to look stupid on the front end. And not a single person has knocked down my door and said, you freaking idiot, right? Nobody cares. If you are using other people and their opinion as a barrier to you doing whatever the hell you want, to living in a reality you can create, that's only going to slow you down. So here's the bit of advice that always comes too late. And this is something that 8-figure mentors taught me really, really quickly, was that when you go into a space of, hey, I'm going to commit to leveling up, you learn really quickly that everybody has an opinion. And you also learn over time, sometimes quickly, sometimes not, but you learn over time that a lot of these opinions are not founded in personal experience. And so how you cut through this, my heart's beating super quick at 3 in the morning, and that's a consistent thing because it was for me when I was transitioning from 50K to 100K months working at a global top 1,000 agency that we ended up building in the digital marketing space. This is what I could have avoided. I could have avoided feeling this all the time because I was honestly just there being like, as I'm leveling up, there's just more, there's more, there's more, there's more complexity, there's more people talking to me, there's more things on my calendar, there's just more. And how do you cut through that? Because those things are going to happen. It's not that you can avoid more happening. And in fact, you're a chief wanting officer. You want more, but you're struggling to identify what of these wants is worth pursuing, what are like true opportunities, and what is just something that's filling up my time and space, right? And the way you cut through this that every 8-figure mentor has ever told me about is by having one person who you completely believe in being the only voice you hear. That's really, really freaking important, right? Because otherwise, as you continue to level up, you're going to get a lot of voices. And if you treat them all on equal levels, you have no idea what to do. And so the importance of this one person, think of it as like a key person of influence in your life, is completely immeasurable in terms of how much money you can make, how much peace of mind you have, how many people you can help. And so how I would honestly go about this is really straightforward, is diligence. I found all of my mentors for the most part from social media, okay? And just followed them for quite a while. When I was ready, I looked at their life and I actually made a mistake. I hired a handful of 8-figure mentors who were not what I wanted, right? Not because they weren't amazing people and had a ton of value to give, they did. But the one mistake I made early on, even after I started trying to find that key person of influence, was, do I want their business? And so I hired some mentors based on, I like their energy, I like their vibe and all that sort of stuff. And then you get into their program or their system or whatever. And like one of my mentors, had a team of 45 people. And I was like, I definitely don't want that business. Right. So it's no fault to him. He's an absolute weapon and an A player, obviously. I don't want to manage 45 people. Right. So there's a couple criteria that you really need is, one, do they have the exact business I'm trying to run? Right? Or at least like within 1 percentage point of the exact business you are trying to get to, i.e., they've been where you are trying to go. They're currently there or have been there, right? The next one is hell yes energy, is what I call it. Is this someone who, if they are blatant with me, they can say super direct context to me, all this sort of stuff, and it won't like affect me personally. That's a hell yes energy person. And that's what I mean is, if they're the one voice and they've been where you want to go and they say, just fucking do it this way, that you're not actually going to push back. You're going to believe in that voice and you're going to do it. Right. And then the final one I'll say is just, what is your level of access? Like, how can you confirm that both of you are rowing in the same direction? Because what's a really important thing to understand, especially if you hire a mentor who has multiple clients in the coaching space or whatever, is that do they have that container based on making them a lot of money or making their clients a lot of money? And you can tell that pretty quickly based on the level of access, right? So like one way I do this with my clients, because I coach high achieving founders between 20K a month and 80K a month so that they can get to that 6-figure mark, is what I call anytime book a call with me, right? So as long as there's availability in my calendar, which I always try and make sure, they have this link and they can book a time with me whenever. If I have 10 spots available and they need 3 of them, they can book 3 in a week. It's totally fine, right? Because that level of access helps them not be stuck and they know exactly what they're getting. They're getting someone who's rowing in the same direction with them, right? So there's a lot of amazing mentors out there. I would just kind of keep it to those criteria. Do they have the exact business you want to run, or at least very, very close? Do they have hell yes energy in that they can tell you anything and you will still believe it more or less as gospel and execute on it? And then how much access do you have to that person? Because that only speeds you up. All right. And so I just want to end this video by telling you you're exactly where you're supposed to be, right? What is most important to me is that if you're having those moments where you're waking up regularly in the middle of the night and your heart's beating faster, or you're sweating, or you're thinking, sometimes it's benign where it's just like so many ideas, but obviously lack of rest is going to derail you over time. Then I just want you to like have the first steps of, go find a key person of influence, live in reality, and realize that a lot of this is messy, right? Transitioning from early to growth stage is messy business. You can clean up the mess a lot quicker if you have someone who's been there before, who you have hell yes energy with, and who you can get a lot of access to. So hope this helped you. If anything I said resonated with you specifically, then feel free to watch how I help people scale to 6 figures a month using flow and not hustle. Very specifically, lifestyle scale. Like, how can you actually have a better life as your business gets bigger, right? And you'll find that link down below. And I just want to say, you're an absolute legend for being here. Don't make plans, make moves, get some help, and we'll see you in the next one.